Mhm.
Welcome to Your Brand Amplified. I'm Annika Jackson, and I am so excited to be here with Karla Singson. Karla, welcome to the show.
Hey, Annika, super excited to be here, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I always love talking to other Asian entrepreneurs as well and hearing your story. And you have such an inspirational and amazing journey of everything that you've built up and done. So I'd love for you to start from the beginning.
Yeah, let's get to it. So, I'm Filipina. I grew up in the Philippines. My surprisingly, my ancestry results showed 65% Chinese
Hmm.
and 12% Vietnamese and only 12% Filipino. So I was really
Yeah.
surprised about that. But I'm like Filipino AF. And I know how to cook all the Filipino food.
Yeah.
I know all the Filipino superstitions, all the jokes, I'll give you a little trivia. So when I was growing up, my mom said, "You're not supposed to sing when you're cooking because you're gonna become a widow." So, but it's fun to sing when you're cooking.
Yeah.
It's weird. Um, so anyway, so those things. Right now, I spent some time in the United States, but right now I live in Mexico full time, 3 blocks from the beach in Playa del Carmen. So I'm really enjoying it there. I grew up in the Philippines and I actually grew up poor in the Philippines. So I remember when I was a kid, my mom had a budget of $20 for a full outfit.
Wow.
And we had to go to like different like cheap malls to put this outfit together. And we only had like new clothes every Christmas or something like that,
Yeah.
unless we have like hand-me-downs or from our like richer cousins, they would give us clothes or something like that. Thankfully, though, I would say in Philippine standards, we were probably still considered lower middle class
Mhm.
because we were able to afford private school, which is very different from what private school is in the States. In countries like the Philippines, it's almost public school is not really like super good, or a lot of parents really save up so that their kids go to private school, even to the cheapest private school. And private school is not as expensive as it is in the States. So it's different when you say like private school.
Mhm.
Um, and of course, I didn't go to the most expensive private schools, just private school. And I finished college early. I finished college at 19, and I actually had pretty good resume after college. I was the president of the debate team. I table tennis champion. I was so like cocky going into the workforce, and I'm like, oh my god, companies will be fawning all over me. And you know what? That was the biggest, probably the biggest heartache of my life because I failed the examinations at Procter and Gamble and Unilever, and I think and Coca-Cola didn't call me back. Like my dreams were crushed,
Wow.
and I don't know why. Honestly, I considered myself smart. I did well in school. For some reason, it didn't click. Right, so I was really heartbroken, and and the only job I could have was to be a writer at this ad agency.
Hmm.
So I did that as a creative like outlet, but also on the side, I started businesses. So I started a flower shop. Right now, I still have the flower shop. We sold it as a franchise in 2017, and we have like 10 locations all over the country. And then we branched to selling engagement rings and then doing events. So I just kind of grew that.
Mm.
So, for everyone listening, if you are wondering why I chose Flower Shop, did I have any experience? Actually, no. So, the reason why I chose Flower Shop is I just sat by myself and I thought about what business do people accept being overcharged for? And the guys hate
Oh
me
my
for
gosh,
this.
I love that.
I just kept thinking, what do people just accept to be overcharged for? And it's like
Yeah.
flowers, because you go to Walmart, for example, a dozen of flowers is $15, but when they are delivered to your girl in the office, it's $48.
Yeah.
Like it's 400%, and we just kind of accepted this, right? So I thought about that and I did everything. I went on YouTube how to arrange flowers. I arranged the flowers. I delivered the flowers
Oh
myself.
my gosh.
I really did, the dirty work, all the dirty work.
And what city was this in?
In Davao City in the
Oh.
Philippines. Yeah, so we still have that business. It's a family business now, and
Mm.
I go home to help out every Valentine's Day
Oh,
or Mother's Day because it's our big day.
wow.
But it's still a really good business. It has supported my family for over a decade. So and along the way I've had a lot of misfortunes. Both of my parents died in my 20s.
Oh, sorry.
I became the breadwinner very early. I helped my sister get to America. Before I got to America,
Wow.
um, I just really hustled. My 20s was all hustle. So, for everyone listening, to this podcast, is like, you're probably way more ahead than me. I mean, I hate to say this, but like if you're born in a developed country, or you have better education than us kids in developing countries, we had a much better situation. You are so ahead of me, and you will go past me, and there's a lot that you can achieve.
Mm,
If you just put your mind into it.
amazing. Wow. So you still had your day job at the same time as starting these other
As a
businesses.
writer,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. I quit after 8 months. So in
Okay.
my whole life, that was the only time I was employed, 8 months.
Oh my gosh. So you started the flower shop and then you started engagement ring.
We started selling engagement rings later, but I think our next expansion was events. I
Okay.
did event planning. Yeah.
That's a great natural extension too of the flowers.
Yeah, yeah. And it was fun because I actually learned a lot from event planning, leadership, project management, being resourceful. I'm really, really grateful that that was the path that I, went to.
Wow. Yeah. So then you started all these businesses in the Philippines. They still
Mm-hmm.
exist. You're able to grow them, create an amazing family business, support your family, bring
Mm-hmm.
them all in, send your sister to the US. And then how did that journey happen to bring you to the US?
So in 2019, I've always loved to travel, and I spent a lot of time in Canada, Thailand,
Mm.
and in the States, actually, just visiting. In fact, my ex and I did like a country a month for like 2 years almost.
Wow.
Yeah, we were just like, we love traveling, we love learning about cultures. Uh, you know, um, but I met someone when I went to the States for a mastermind. I met someone who was willing to invest in me and my company. So I helped him start an events company in Las Vegas. And that was
Oh.
my first foray to like doing business in the States, or any involvement, any involvement, as a consultant or
Mm.
whatever, as a freelancer or whatever, to getting into like the US market. And in 2016, I actually started a small, very small HR company for virtual assistants.
Mhm.
There was a lot of virtual assistants in the Philippines, but one of the problems was recruitment. So for clients in the States, they don't know how to, recruit virtual assistants. And then they also don't know how to give them healthcare and benefits and all that.
Yeah.
So I provided that service. This is a small business. I still have it, but it's just a small business. And so we provide benefits and HR services to other companies. So because of my experience in outsourcing, my investor, now business partner, thought over the pandemic that it would be a good impetus to start an outsourcing business, because during the pandemic, a lot of people were moving
Mhm.
between jobs. They were either quitting their job, moving to the suburb, right, moving back with their parents. So there was a lot of like movement related to jobs, but it doesn't mean that the jobs weren't needed and that the jobs didn't need to be done. They still needed to be done. So I figured it was a good time to get into the market, no matter what. In the Philippines, it's actually very common to have a VA business.
Mhm.
So even if everyone was telling me it's a very dense market, everyone and their mom has a VA business, but I believe that we had something like special to offer, and we just did it.
And that is your current company, Scalewind?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Scalewind. So we do manage outsourcing for, we've branched out to design, tech, content management, copywriting. So it's not just
Ooh,
VAs now, customer support. And our best clients are online businesses that don't want to deal with employment or dealing with different freelancers. So it's fully managed and it's turnkey.
amazing. I know that's one of the biggest things for my own business when I've looked at working with VAs and
Mhm.
freelancers. And I tried working with a company that was in Australia that had some people in the Philippines, but it was really
Okay.
hard for me to make the connection because they were our kind of go-between, and I didn't get to have the access to, well,
Mm,
if you're doing managing my LinkedIn for lead
mm,
generation, you need to know my tone of voice, right? And like how I speak
right.
and how I want things to be presented. So
Yeah.
I love the fact that you've been able to find a way to manage the outsourcing more appropriately and properly and provide win-win for everybody, jobs and people who need experience in those different areas.
Yeah, I think the management factor, managed outsourcing is actually not a very common term, but it's gaining traction. But the purpose of management is not so they can be the in between. It's
Mhm.
actually so the client feels more supported,
Yeah.
that they're not dealing with a VA alone. So there are accidents that happen. There are typhoons in the Philippines, earthquakes, right?
Yeah.
But what if you have a launch? What will happen? So say your
Mhm.
VA is located in this city. For example, your VA is in Manila and there was a typhoon in Manila, and but you have a launch and you need a VA, but she can't work. So what the manager will do is partner you up with a VA from another side of the country who can do your job. And because that manager already systematized and has your SOPs, then it's more seamless and you're not worrying at the middle of your launch. So I think that's where the benefit is. And I want people to remember that even if they don't work with us, that's the magic of managed outsourcing.
Okay, yeah, that's wonderful. And you have offices in Las Vegas and also in Manila now.
Yeah. We have our call center is based in Manila. Our admin is in Las Vegas.
And you were able to grow this company during the pandemic from zero to over $1 million in revenue in 1 year without spending money on ads, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. So
Tell us your
we
ways.
yeah, I would love to. That's my favorite thing to talk about because it just confirms that nothing is out of your reach, right? So I've bootstrapped a lot of my businesses. This is my first business that got funding.
Mm.
In a little over a year, we were able to consistently make six figures every month. And honestly, we did I think our okay, let me start with what's special. I think what's special and what is difficult to copy, because I don't want people to think it's super easy,
Yeah.
is me and my business partner have large social media followings. I have about 50,000 and a newsletter, and I have experience doing social media copywriting. I
Mm.
actually do classes about that from time to time, and so we've always had eyeballs on us. So I actually firmly believe that whatever I do, people will follow me
Mhm.
because I keep a good reputation. And I always believe just refund the guy instead of getting a bad review. Just refund
Mm.
him and wish him well, part as friends. I believe in that, even though we lost a lot of money when we were starting. And um so there's that big asset that we have, and then after that is really just more high level partnerships. And so people who can vouch for you, we just ask our friends help,
Mm.
we gave them freebies in exchange of reviews. And then we were really aggressive with our affiliate program.
Hmm.
So we pay um we pay on average like $1,000 per referral,
Wow.
and our sales team does all of the work. You merely like do an intro or something like that, and
Mm.
then it gets paid out regularly. And then we also have JV partners where if you refer more than like 10 people already, you're going to get promoted to a JV partner where you make $100 per client per month lifetime. So what we did, we were just really distributing growth. And then number three is build a really solid retention team.
Mhm.
So our business is a subscription business. So our money is in the our lifeblood is in monthly recurring revenue.
Mhm.
So we have a team that is merely obsessed with retention, and I learned a lot from Amazon, actually, and Amazon's principles
Mm.
on customer obsession. So we'll shout out to Daddy Jeff. And so all this team does is really take care of retention. From time to time, they send our clients gifts. They communicate with them. They have a personal line where clients can reach them outside of office hours, obviously with the impression that they won't abuse it, and we do choose our clients as well.
Mm.
And these people get a salary, but they also get bonus per client per month.
Nice.
So I think the way of distributing growth, at the start of your business, at the first 2 years of your business, is really crucial for you to build a solid foundation of predictable cash.
Yeah. Well, there are so many gems in there. One thing I want to ask, because I believe in that too, and sharing profits and making sure
Mhm.
that your team feels like they are part of building the company. They're
Mhm.
not just somebody you hired. They want to take pride in being
Yeah,
part of this initiative. And yes, they get the financial side of it, but then they also get that pride of person. They are gaining the skills and they're
yeah.
becoming something even bigger. And then they can then share that with their families, with their communities, which I know is something really important to us.
To our
Yeah,
culture.
yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know what? Like, with what's happening in the economy right now, like the recession, I'm like working harder because I want to give everyone a raise that's equivalent to the inflation rate.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not that easy to just give, across the board, give like a 8% increase or something. And so this is what I tell my team. I'm like, guys, we need to work hard because this is my vision for the whole company. And me as a CEO, I this is a job too, right? I take
Right.
salary. I wouldn't. We believe in like leaders eat last, so I denied my own raise a couple of times, and I, which is funny
Yeah.
because my partner's like, you should have a raise already. I'm like, I deny. I was like, you don't look at our books every day. I do, and giving myself a raise makes me nervous. So,
Mm. Wow.
so let me just scam my boyfriend for a few free lunches, and we'll be fine.
Oh my gosh, I love that. So how do you find the people who are doing the work I mean, because you said it's not just assistants now. There are
Mm.
people doing content writing, there are people doing very technical things, design work, all of these other aspects. How do you find and vet the right people to be on your team on that side?
Yeah, so one of the things that we really like take pride in is like team building and hiring great people, because you go on Upwork, you go on Fiverr, you can find $3 an hour VA, $5 an hour
Mm,
VA, but you also get what you pay for, right?
right.
And but how we find really like rock stars is, number one is really referrals from your current rock star team.
Mm,
So the important thing is you have to imbibe your, number one is your core values of your company to the team. And that makes up your corporate culture. And then you align that with effectivity, or how effective or how productive they are at their work. I actually learned this from Ryan Dice
mm,
of digital marketer at a mastermind I went to. He built a matrix on corporate culture fit and effectivity, and how each employee should score high in those things. And if they're
mm,
not, then you can coach them. And so I would say referrals would be great. Referrals from your own team members, and of course, once again, reward them for good referrals. So we give them a cash bonus when their referral reaches 90 days with us.
yeah.
So we do that, and then next is we do have like job networks, Facebook groups. Facebook groups where our HR team is just very um hardworking in like
Mm,
finding these people. We're hiring every day, so there's always something for them to do. And then for more critical hires, I highly suggest scored panel interviews.
mm,
So 5 people, I think that's a little too much, but 4 or 5 people interviewing the candidate at the same time, because recording it, because you guys will see different things,
mhm.
like different things at the same time, and then scoring it all, and then averaging it out so that it's all data driven and meritocratic. So, um, what else? I think also like anticipation or a really good coaching program on the first month
Mm,
of your person. I mean, of your employee or contractor, because that first month you have to also, as a company, have it in your heart to give them the best chances of succeeding. So I think all of those tied together, you're gonna have a pretty good chance at landing rock stars in your team.
nice. And then on the other side, you said that you also vet your clients. You don't just say, okay, yes, I'm going to take your money. So
Yeah.
what does that process look like? Somebody fills out the form to do a discovery call, sends you the information on what they're looking for.
Yeah, so here's the thing. So the first year of Scalewind, I closed all of the business calls. So I fielded probably 100 or more sales calls, right? I was hustling, and I couldn't afford a salesperson because they're so expensive.
Yes.
I mean, we are so expensive, salespeople. So actually, the way I choose my salespeople is I think I can teach everything else if they're coachable, but my number one thing is they have to be a good conversationalist.
Mm.
So when I interview someone, or even if I don't interview someone, I just meet someone at a bar or something. And actually, my top sales guy right now, I met him at a friend's dinner,
Oh.
and he was sitting next to me, and we were talking, and we were having like really good banter, and then but not inappropriate. He wasn't being inappropriate, so I
Mhm.
thought, because guys, like, they think it's banter, but they're actually being inappropriate,
Oh
right? But
yeah.
he wasn't. So I was like, oh, this is really like a good communicator. And then
Oh.
I spent more time with him, and I realized, and then until like I offered him the job, because he also was, when he was starting to share his frustrations with the current company that he was working
Oh
as a
yeah.
salesperson. Yeah. So it is up to our sales team actually to determine, based on their intuition, if the client is going to be a good client or not. And sometime, but we never turn anyone away, like, obviously, right? Like, you still want to be kind, and you still want to be, you still want to be remembered in a certain way.
Right.
So I'll give you an example. So when my that sales guy said, oh god, I think I closed this sale, but he's kind of an asshole, so sorry.
No, it's
um
okay.
so I'm just gonna tell the team that in private, and then I'll do my whole script. So just letting you know, guys, like, this might be a difficult client. And on the onboarding side, we also discuss our core values when they're onboarded as a client.
Mhm.
So it includes like respectful communication and stuff like that. So if they're not respectful, if they, yell at us or something, it is in our contract that we can cut the relationship right away. So anyway, we just kind of mentioned that in the onboarding too, the discussion of values. So funnily, that client was introduced to our team. He was going to be get onboarded, and then that client CC'd his legal advisor and
Hmm.
said something about our contract. And he said, you have to amend this contract because this doesn't apply to us, because we are in California. And then I'm like, we work with a lot of clients all over the states, including California. But actually, he was kind of right. But there was a clause in our contract for California residents, this, and
Oh.
this. And so our lawyer replied to him, well, you can look at this part of the contract. And then that guy said, well, I want you to give me a 2-week trial, um because so the thing is, we were running that promo, but
Mm.
then our sales guy told him our promo is going to end on this day, but then he signed up later, so he's not qualified
Yeah.
for the promo anymore. And but he was like, I'm not going to sign up, I want you to change, he literally said, I want you to change the terms for me. And so I was CC'd in a thread, and so I told him very kindly that it would not be fair to our other clients, and also all our announcements are public, and we don't want to lose integrity to the public.
Yeah.
And then I just said, based on this initial interaction, I don't think it's a good fit, so we are now disengaging as your service provider.
Wow.
And that's my favorite line.
I love that. And you handled it so beautifully where you had this, uh-oh, he might be a problem client. He immediately showed who he was.
Yeah.
And he's the one who was able to give you the out
Right?
without
Yeah.
being, rude, without you doing anything else, but
Yeah.
he made it very easy. Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah, and guys, some bad clients, it shows up later. And we had this experience.
Mhm.
I had this client when we were starting out, we would take everyone, right? Anyone wants to give us money, come here, because we didn't have money and we were starting
Yeah.
out. And so there was this guy and he ordered like 60 videos from us, and
Mm.
halfway through he was complaining a lot. He was being a difficult client, and then he started like being mean to our team members, and my teammates were telling me that they're so stressed and so burnt out by this one client. So I just told him that, thanks for your down payment. Actually, he still owed us money, but I said we're
Yes.
just gonna disengage. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had that experience too, where I worked with a client, kept working more and more. They added me to other projects,
Yeah.
and we would have meetings because they didn't have the finances all together. And I said, well, I'm paying my team and you're not paying me. And one of my team members even became like a personal assistant for this person for a little bit, which
Oh,
is not
wow.
our job, but just because there was supposed to be all these other things happening and delay with paperwork, I finally had to say, I'm not working with you anymore. And he said, well, I don't owe you any money. I looked back at my records. I said, what are you talking about? We had monthly meetings. Here are the records. And it was really sad because it was something we really believed in for the project, but
Right.
I can't work with that kind of person. You have to work with people with integrity, right? People who show up the way that you're going to show up and that your team is going to show up for them.
Exactly. For me, it's really about loving your team.
Yeah.
Because if you as a boss or a business owner, you're not dealing with this client, on a daily basis. It's your team. And you owe your team, your team. These are human beings who committed 1/3 of their life to serving your dream,
Mm,
right? That's what I always think. This is your dream. This is not their
right.
dream. They
Exactly.
just want to support their family. So the least amount of honor you can give them is to make sure that they're being treated well. So that's what I always think about, these difficult clients. So, and at the end of the day, right now I can say it confidently because we're doing good, better have a refund than a bad review. So
Yeah.
that's it.
Wow. Interesting. So, with all of the businesses that you have and all the success that you've been able to build up very organically and just by seeing things that needed to be done or seeing holes that could be filled with your expertise, what's next for you and your brand?
I need to be a housewife, to be honest.
I don't see that happening. I don't think you have the personality to just stay at home because I know
Oh,
when
let
I
me try
stepped,
that out.
yeah, when I stepped out of the workforce, I didn't either. So I did a lot of volunteering and getting involved in the community, and then I would have like little side hustles because I'm like, I had to feel fulfilled myself, right? Because I said, if I'm happy and I feel fulfilled as my own person, then I will be a better mom, better
Mm,
spouse, all of that.
true.
Yeah.
I believe
And
that.
I think
I
that you
believe that.
have too many more ideas in your head that maybe you don't even know about to.
Ideas. Actually, that's the other problem. And it's much more dangerous now because I have a team ready to go. So any business idea of a website or something, I'd be like, oh my gosh, this is great. Literally, I have so many ideas. And sometimes I even like give them out to like friends or cousins, or like, why don't you do this? Like, but they're just not as enthusiastic. So
Yeah.
what's next for me? Honestly, I mean, I wasn't like 100% kidding. I would love to settle down and maybe take a break a little bit.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I really love. I think I really love growing businesses and being able to show people what's possible. So Scalewind helps me with that dream because I help businesses grow in an easier way. Staying in their budget. um, I think probably I don't know, probably some sort of consulting, because we're also planning to sell the company, or we're open
Hmm.
to getting acquired. But I've had my events company for 10 years and I worked in that business for 10 years. So Skillman is just 2 years old. Who knows how far the runway would go. Maybe we'll be here for a long time. And I still have a lot of energy. So yeah.
Wow, amazing. Now speaking of that, I'd love if you have a study, and you don't have to name names, but of a company that came to you and you helped them implement, because you hear this all the time, use outsource, outsource, outsource. But then I think a lot of us as business owners have trouble understanding how that will work in our
Mm,
systems.
yeah.
But it sounds like you also offer advice to these companies that come in as clients on, okay, you need this kind of people, perhaps.
Yeah, it's actually really good that you mentioned that because I just started to feel more generous with my time. So the thing about Scalewind is we're an outsourcing company. We're not a consulting company.
Mhm.
So we don't sell advice and but we sell the job getting done. So we're really careful about this nuance
Mm, mhm, mhm.
because we don't want to be in charge of results. We're not a marketing
Right.
agent. And we always tell them hiring a VA is not a Hail Mary. If your business is going under, a VA is not going to save you. I mean, it could probably, we've had VAs that, our clients would like praise them because they've done amazing. But it's not a good way to start, and they are the exception. So
Mhm.
but Scalewind, we've actually opened up office hours, but better,
Oh,
OHBB. So every Wednesday, I actually give my time to coach, business owners for businesses making at least 300K a year, EBITDA
mhm.
per year. And if they have any leadership, team management questions, they can ask it. If they need me to look at a job description that they're about to,
Mm,
announce that, any conflict within any insight into the Filipino culture because they have a Philippine
mm.
team, I would love to just help them out. So,
Oh, nice.
yeah, so in a few weeks, actually, we are going to launch on our website, scalewind.com. There's going to be a menu there for booking your time. Every Wednesday on Central, I have 4 slots for just helping business owners out with that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Now, some people also might want to know more about the pricing when you hire a VA or an outsourced individual. What kind of what are some of those factors and the costs and the benefits?
Yeah. So with Skillwind, it's 1895 a month,
Mhm.
$1,895 for a full-time virtual assistant. And this is
Mm,
fully managed. And this includes the support of management and the process recording, process documentation.
mm.
And plus you have the support of management if you need advice or if you're changing platforms and if you need your VA to be trained in another CRM, you don't have to do it yourself.
Mm.
So that goes down to about $12 an hour, less than actually, less
Wow.
than $12 an hour. And we have a starter plan of 995 a month for 20 hours a week.
Oh,
And it's all US time zone or whatever time zone you are, actually. It's very flexible. We serve clients all over the world.
yeah. Oh, wow. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So is the best way to find you via your website, scalewind.com?
Yeah, you can find me on scalewind.com or follow me on Instagram, Karla Stefan. No VA is handling my social media. It's just me. So feel free to harass me.
And what's your favorite quote or mantra if you have one?
Mm, wow. Um, I think it's the Seneca's a life lived well or a life lived meaningfully, even though it's short, is a life lived well.
Oh, that's really
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, because both of my parents passed early, but they were like really great people. And
Mm.
in right now, where the discussion about mental health,
Mm.
personal development is gaining a lot of noise, a lot of no noise sounds negative. It's gaining a lot of like conversations,
Yeah.
attention. We learn these new words about generational trauma, childhood trauma, and we joke about it, right? But I'm actually like super privileged to not have that. My parents were great people. They had a great relationship. They
Mm.
were good role models. My dad didn't have any vices. My mom too. So even like they're amazing people. And I'm really like legit. Like they are legit amazing people. But they have like such short lives. But
Wow.
it makes me feel like grateful that I get to experience that. And even though I wasn't born in America or I don't know, a female or whatever other misgivings I had one of the greatest privileges ever.
That's so beautiful. Karla, is there anything else that you'd like to leave? Any last words of wisdom or advice or thoughts that you have for our audience?
Well, I think, I'm an entrepreneur and I love entrepreneurship. So if anyone listening, you're here in this podcast because you want to learn and you want to grow, and that is a good sign. And if you really feel that this is a path for you, then like there's so many ways that there's nothing stopping you from getting what you want, really. But if you also feel, because entrepreneurship is like you really want it,
Mhm.
or if you're hesitating, it's probably not for you. So if you're hesitating and nothing's working out and you're always demotivated, it's probably not for you. But if you're really here to grow and if you're really committed, there's so many ways. There's podcasts like this. This is like literally like public service from Anja. And some of the things that you will learn here, you can't even learn in like expensive universities. So the internet is here to help you out. The world is so big, and so just really take your chance and bet on yourself.
Yeah. Thank you. This was very inspiring and uplifting. I have a lot of things to follow up with you on when we stop recording. So, Karla, thank you so much for being on this. And I hope that you're having a beautiful day in Mexico. And to our audience, think about outsourcing, managed outsourcing, I should say, and how that can help your business as an entrepreneur and help you grow smartly and steadily in whatever you are doing. So thank you for coming back for another week of Your Brand Amplified, and I'll be back again next week with another episode.